All right, it has reached that time where when you need to select a category, okay, you go to that particular category screen and then you maybe see the items that belong to that category. And how do we do that? We do that through the Vue Navigator. All right, so let me go to the documentation. So the Vue router. So and how do we do that? We do the navigation through the Vue router. So we have a VueNative router. Let me go through the documentation. We go to the VueNative router. All right, so it helps in the navigation through the app. So the first thing you're supposed to do, one, is install the VueNative router. All right, so it will run on npm. So remember, if you have bash, you already have the $sign. If you do not, then you'll have issues. All right, so I'll go and get to my project and I start bash again. Okay, so let me see. And then let me install the router. All right, so as it downloads the router to install to our VueNative item. So sometimes it will even have to stop the server from running, okay, for it to install all those necessary components. Now, we're going also to install these, and they come from React Native. So React Native paper, gesture handler, okay. So it says here, note that some of the dependencies assumed to be having are within the packages. So React Native animated, the gesture handler, the paper. All right. And the additional step is required to link these dependencies from React Native without expo. So refer to this article. So what we're going to do, let's read what the article tells us. But we just need to import these from Vue. Now here they say VueNative router, but we may need to import them from React Native. All right, so some additional steps for those who, so the additional steps are those who are not using Expo. So where is it? So additional step is required to link these dependencies if you are using React Native without Expo. So you can go ahead and read through this, okay? Which additional steps do you need? So you need to install the React Navigation /native, and then install screen gesture handlers, native screens, community masked view. Now I will install these, okay, into Expo, and also install the others. So I'll install these because some of these may be required, okay. So if you're using bare native, so remember now this one, remember we are running Expo, and this is not providing all of them. It's providing paper, gesture handler, reanimated. So I'm going to install this and also install this, okay, when I'm using Expo. All right, so let me check if our installation is done. All right, so, okay, so this one has stopped. So, the bundler has stopped, and this is where our thing was running. So I'm going to come and install this, okay, too, and then also install the one for Expo. So npm install the gestures and whatsoever. All right, so I'll pause the video and then return back when the installation of this is done. And after installing this, make sure you come and also install this. Okay, Expo install or npm install this. Okay. So since we are using Expo, we're going to use Expo install, because for React Native, it will be in npm install this, so it won't bind them with Expo. But if you're going to use Expo, we are going to copy this and install using that. Alright, so it's done. And then lastly, we copy this, okay, because we have React Native screen, blah, blah, blah. So we copy that and also paste it here and run. And also pause the video and return after that is installed. Alright, so they are saying I'm already using the new version of Expo, so most of those packages are in. Okay, so checking masked view, VueNative stack is no longer, native navigation stack is no longer supported. By the way, there's a new stack if you're using React. There's a new stack which you may use at that particular moment, but for us we're going to be using VueNative navigation, so we may not need such. Alright, and then we shall import it here in the script, and then we see how to go with it from screen to screen. And it's quite easy. Alright, now that you are done installing the required components of Expo, let's look at our package.json. Okay, so you can see in our package.json, what we needed is already here. We needed the gestures, animated save screens, and then the VueNative router. Alright, so it's our time to use it, and we're going to follow the documentation so that I can explain it. Alright, so before we go to the documentation, this is what you need. First of all, we are going to create a screen that is going to have our first element, that is the home, because now app.vue is going to become our navigation entry point. Okay, so which means every screen that we are going to navigate to will be in app.vue, and every stack is going to be still in app.vue. Now, to know more about stack, if you go to previous component compositions, okay, or I can even Google what they call a stack. Let me do Google here, and I call stack. Meaning, let's see. Alright, so let's see, a pile of objects, typically one that is neatly arranged. So, let me type view stack, and we see what image we shall get. Let me check in images and we see if I can get anything. Alright, I don't know. Alright, so this could be a good representation of a stack. So a stack is like screens, and one screen comes on top of the other, on top of the other, on top of the other. So this could be the home screen, then this is another screen, another screen, another screen, another screen, another screen. So they are stuck together, they are stuck on top of each other. Okay, so that's a good example. So these are stacked cards. Okay, so this is on top of this. All this is a good, so these are stacked cards. So this could be card 1, which is home, and then card 2, card 3, and then the other come on getting on the top. So what we're going to create is a stack of screens, okay? And all of them are handled, okay, right here in the entry point, which is app.vue. All right, so let's go to app.vue, and then instead I'm going to go to my apps, and I create one called screens. So remember I told you we create a default called apps. Okay, so I'm going to come to app, all right, and I create another folder and I call it screens. All right, so my first screen will be the home screen. So I just go inside there and I call it home screen.vue. All right, so that's the first screen that I want people to see. All right, so which means I'm going to get all this, cut it, then paste it to the home screen. All right, so which means some of the things will have to change. So it's in app, okay? So it will have to go out of app to get the bottom tab. But let me get to that later. So the app navigator here is where all our app navigations are going to go through by default. So this already comes from the Stack Navigator. So what we're going to do, we're going to create our usual template. So we begin with the template and the script. Okay, so we're just going to create a template and the script, and then we put all this that is needed. All right, so I'll create a default template. All right, and then I'll also create a script. Okay, so in the script, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to import. Okay, what are we importing? We're importing these. Okay, remember they are coming from React Native. So we're importing the create app container and the create stack navigator. Okay, from Vue router. Now we're going to import them from React Native because the previous time I imported them from Vue router, it didn't work. Okay, from Vue router. Then, okay, so could not define declaration module. All right. Then we're going to also create now a constant for our stack navigator. Okay, remember we've already imported it. So, and that constant of the stack navigator, we're going to put a stack of screens such as the home screen, the details screen. Okay, so we're going to put a stack of screens. So I'm just going to create a constant. I may call it stack navigator. So let me just create this constant. All right, so I'm going to remove the screens here. I'm going to remove the screens so that I explain everything. All right, so in this constant, we're going to name the screens. So we're going to create our screens, and our first screen will be so this is going to contain the screens, and the first screen will be home, okay, which will bring in the home screen. Okay, so I'm going to have to import that screen, which will be import home-screen from, okay, where we expect it to come from, dot dash, let me terminate here, dot dash, so then in app, and then in screens, and then you stroke it with home screen. All right. So import home screen. I think I'll have to remove this. Okay. So the dash won't work for us. So I'll put it like that. So import home screen, okay, from home screen. Now, I'll come to the app here. Of course, even if I refresh, nothing will happen because I need to export now the stack, okay, that has been created. I need to put it into a container. Now the container is going to hold all stacks. Okay, so how do we get that? We create now a constant of the app navigator, and we create a container, okay, and then we put the stack navigator. All right, so this is what this actually is meaning. Let me remove the browser here so that we have enough screen. So simply, we create a constant, and we call that constant app navigator. So we create an app container to contain the stack navigator here that we've just created, variable. Okay. Then we export, okay, because we must export these navigations or this view. Okay, so we export the view. Okay, so we export default, and we are exporting all components that are in app navigator. Okay, so app navigator is equating to the container navigator. All right, so we export. So we export by default. We export the components. Okay, remember in others we were exporting again, and we're exporting maybe the components. We were exporting the data. Okay, so we are exporting whatever is in that view. Okay, so that it can be accessed. So we export the component and then app navigator. All right, so the template is quite empty, so not everything is done. I think that's the reason for this. So we need to have something in the template, okay? And that is the app navigator here, okay? Because remember, by default, you're supposed to render a view, okay? So here we are rendering the app navigator, okay? Now, I still expect to have an error, okay? Because I've not given it a default screen. And that is the default screen that we're supposed to have. All right, I also expect an error for the view router. So the default screen is what we are talking about here. Okay, so which should be the initial screen that should be touched the moment the application renders. Okay, and that is that there. All right, so that should be enough to give me an error that I've been expecting, or to launch me an application. All right, I'll be waiting. All right, now that we're seeing a blank screen, what I've decided, I'm going to relaunch the app. So I'm going to do an npm start so that it starts the application again. Remember that the time we launched it in debugs. Okay, so that we start the application again and then we run it. So Expo is starting the bundler. All right, we run the emulator. Now, as the emulator is starting, remember that by default, okay, Vue is asking us to get all our navigation from VueNative router. Okay, but in the first case in 2020, when I just landed on VueNative, that gave me an error. Okay, so it cannot bridge. That's the error that we're getting. So this is this in 2020, I replaced it with React navigation. But right now it does not work. So I'm going to reload and then we see what error it's going to give us. All right, so I'll have to launch the app again in the bundler. So I'm going to go to the bundler and rerun the app. Okay. All right, so could not bridge. Make sure the bundler is packed properly. Hi, I'm briefly interrupting these videos to let you know of a list of videos that will help you create a working prototype to let you come from basics to intermediate. That will be followed by another list of videos that will help you work on a full e-commerce application. Please click the link in the description to go and watch those videos and support this channel. Thank you. Let's proceed. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'll have to rerun the app itself because it's still reading from the Vue bundler and I've changed something that is major. So I'm going to go and stop this, okay, by pressing Ctrl+C. Okay, then I also clear this so that I have a whole new screen. All right, and start the bundler again by doing an npm start so that it launches Expo for us, a fresh new Expo. All right, the bundler has started. Okay, so I'll refresh here. So you have to do that back and forth and keep on checking. There's no way you can avoid that. All right, so let's run again. I expect to get an error. About the stack. Okay, so you can see the error. The error says that create stack navigator, this stack navigator of ours, that it has been moved to React navigation stack. All right, so which means I'm going to add the word stack here. And then, of course, I expect another error. Okay. I expect another error because the app container is also not in the same stack. So this time around, it's complaining about the app container, that it's undefined. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to import app container, because app container, for it remained reading from React navigation. Okay. So that's the issue here. So app navigator, it remained reading from React navigation. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to import, and then I import app container, okay, from React navigation. React navigation. And then I terminate and save. Okay, I think this time around everything should be clear, and you can see our home screen. So we have our home screen, which is here. This is the home screen. All right, so I'm going to create another screen. Okay, so I'm going to go to my screens, right click and create a new screen. I'm going to call it maybe the cat screen. So cart.vue. Okay, I put the default view template. Okay, and then I put in a view. These are things we discussed in the first videos. And then I put in a text. All right, so it's better to use camel casing, and then I call this is the cat view. Cat view. All right, so I'll do some bit of styling so that the figures are big, so that you can see the difference. All right, so I'll call this the cat view. So I'll style, which is equal to, there's supposed to be double quotes, and then I put that I want the font size, font capital size is equal to, let me give it a 45. Okay. I guess we shall find that. Okay, my word style was misspelled. Great, so let me go to the home screen. The first thing I want to do is import app.vue, sorry. The first thing I want to do is import my cat. So import cat screen for easy reading from the same directory, which is stroke.app stroke screens stroke cat screen, or cat. I've called it cat. Let me name it cat screen so that it differs from the others. Then terminate. Of course, it is warning me because it can't find cat screen, so I'll have to come and rename this to cat screen. All right, so that error should disappear. Great. All right, so I need to import that screen here because I already established it there. I'm going to call it cat with a capital C. And then the other thing I need to do is import that screen. I'm casting it just as it is up there. Then I save. Of course, everything is done, but what we have to do, we need to go to our home screen, and then we put an on-click listener. So we're going to do a v-bind, so a bind with on-click, okay, on-press, on-press, which will equal to, I'm going to call this go to cat, all right. Then I go down in, of course, it's warning me that it can't find that method go to cat. Then I go down to our methods and I create a method go to cat. So I'll call go to cat, which will be a function. Okay, and inside that function, I want to call this dot, okay, dot navigation, dot navigate. And where am I navigating? I'm navigating to cat, capital C-A-T, and then I terminate. Save. This button should be working. The moment I click on it, I go to the next. All right, so our style didn't work. What didn't I do? Okay, this is supposed to be, instead of equals, it's supposed to be colon. All right, so you can see that we already in this is our cat. So that's how we go to screens. Thank you so much for watching these videos. Do not forget to subscribe, share, like, become a Patreon, donate, and support us on our channel. Let's meet in the next video.